Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show. My name is Jared Lee, and I'm joined, as usual, by my lovely wife, Jamie Lee. So, Jamie, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Jared. How are you?
I'm doing good. I under the thing of pumpkin and being fall, as well. I guess fall. It's been fall apparently since August now, but
Truth.
I feel like football season has started. See, truth.
I said truth.
Okay.
It's truth.
Interesting. Okay. That football season started. So in my head, that's like the beginning of fall.
So although, for you, it's fall now.
Well, in Florida, it doesn't feel like fall.
Never. Nope.
Like talking to our family back in Missouri, it's like very fall weather. So here, apparently it is. But I found out something today exists that apparently is a thing that people know about that I had no idea about.
Okay.
And it is a pumpkin and cream pie that is from McDonald's.
Okay.
And it literally
like an apple pie, but
so I don't literally like McDonald's. I mean, I'll eat. It's one of those things like, if you're really hungry, sure, I'll go get like a hamburger or something like that.
Sure.
But I don't like crave McDonald's.
Okay.
But I do love their apple pies. I've loved them since I was a kid. Mm-hmm. But this thing is like, I guess an apple pie, but it's pumpkin and cream. The description just says pumpkin and cream pie.
That's it.
But it looks amazing. I'm going to have to try this. But I've never heard of it. Like I asked some people in Club 32 and they were like, "Oh yeah, I've heard of that." And I was like, "I've never heard of this."
Interesting. Well, I mean, I do like the apple pies too, so maybe I would like this as well. I do like pumpkin.
That's what I'm saying. I never thought about. I guess this would be considered like sort of like whipped cream on your pumpkin pie. I don't know.
Maybe.
Either way, I didn't know this existed, and it potentially could be really good. And again, I'm really like. I don't know what's happened to me as I've gotten older, but I'm pretty basic when it comes to pumpkin.
So basic.
Like I do enjoy like pumpkin cream cold brews, all that stuff.
Pumpkin pie, pumpkin and cream pie.
I found a really good pumpkin beer.
Pumpkin beer.
Because again, down here it doesn't feel like fall, but the Publix near us, which has a bar in it, which you're like, that's weird. It is weird. But my buddy the other day was like, "Do you want to go to Publix and get a beer?" And I'm like, "I guess." Because it's Publix.
Yeah, you went to the pub.
They have a pub at the pub, and they had I can't remember the company, but it's like a pumpkin is what they call it. It's delicious. So apparently, I'm all on board for pumpkin.
All right. I mean, I have been for years,
right?
But I am also a Apple fan, so I'll take a little bit of both.
I mean,
but I'm glad you're coming over to the happy side. I swear, happy people drink pumpkin drinks and eat pumpkin things.
This isn't new. I just also feel like there's more pumpkin stuff now and earlier. I feel like everybody's just decided we're going really heavy on the pumpkin.
Yes. And just to clarify, it's pumpkin spice, not just regular pumpkin. Because you need a little sugar, need a little cinnamon in that pumpkin to make it real taste good.
I think that was a given, though. But
I'm just saying.
Okay. Well, fair enough. Either way, I just want to say, I don't know if anybody else knows that this is a thing, but it exists.
Okay.
I'm going to try it. I will update next week on how it is on an ongoing segment called Jared Tries New Pumpkin Stuff.
Jared goes basic and tries more pumpkins.
Listen, if we're going to do a show segment where I try pumpkin things, I'm not against it.
Okay.
I'm just saying. I can rate it on a scale of my scale goes, I would definitely get that again, or it was okay. Or it was terrible. There's three things.
No. This is the way it's good, not great. That's what you say about things that are okay. It's good, not great.
Well, I feel like that's a good way to put it.
Good, not great.
And then when I do say it's fantastic, I feel like people will be like, "Oh, I should take note."
Be like, that's a 10 out of 10.
Because if you try everything and everything's great, then nothing's great.
Correct.
See?
Yes.
There's logic in this.
Yes.
Anyways, I'm going to go try this.
Okay.
I feel like I'm going to be disappointed because it's McDonald's.
Well, don't say that.
But I feel
that's the worst attitude I've ever
I feel like
heard.
actually going into it, if I'm expecting...
I'm going to go try this. It's going to be terrible.
No, if I'm expecting it to not be good, I could be impressed. But again, it's McDonald's. I don't expect... Like if Chick-fil-A had this come out, I'd be pretty excited.
Okay.
And Wendy's apparently now has a pumpkin frosty that I... Listen,
that was supposed to come out a couple days ago.
Yeah, this is going to become a thing, I think. But it's the fact that...
Where'd Jared go? I don't know. He's getting a bunch of pumpkin stuff. I don't know what he's doing.
For the show, okay? But I feel like given if it's from McDonald's...
Yeah.
And McDonald's is like really hit or miss. I feel like it really could depend on which McDonald's you go to.
That's fine. We're going to try it all. You're going to try it. I'm going to try it. It's going to be a pumpkin.
Anyways, I will try it and let everybody know. But I have a feeling in me. I don't know. Anyways, it sounds really good. But we're not going to talk about pumpkin treats today.
But why not?
That's on the Pumpkin Treat Show. That's a show that's only out for 2 months out of the year. Really big deal. But anyways, we are going to talk about some news, including there were some announcements at Destination D23 last weekend. Mm-hmm. So we will talk about those and a few other things. And then we're going to talk about some rope drop tips that you can use if you want to rope drop.
Specifically at Hollywood Studios.
Yes. Well, that's one I did recently.
Yes.
So if you're looking to do that. So that's what we're going to talk about. But before we do that, if you are watching this show on YouTube, we'd ask you to please leave a like, subscribe to the channel. And if you're listening on podcast, if you would leave us a review, we'd greatly appreciate it. It helps us continue to grow the show. And of course, if you want even more content, you should look at joining Club 32, which is our private group where we do additional content like we do the Club 32 show live stream every week. We have Cool Kids Kitchen tomorrow night, which is a live stream where we make a Disney dish.
Technically tonight.
Well, when you guys hear this, yes.
Technically.
We're recording this on Wednesday. But and then we have a private podcast feed. You get 20% off of CTM apparel and 1901 Candle Company products year-round, including the latest Halloween release we just had. And there's a lot. Let's see, private Facebook group, private Discord, way more interactive. We post a lot of stuff in there. I posted my pumpkin findings today because I was like, have you guys ever heard of this? But a lot more cool stuff in there. So if you want to check that out, you can go to ctmvip.com, and we have monthly or yearly options. And it's a great way if you want to contribute to the show, if you want to get, we can interact a little bit more in there as everything has grown. And it's just, you get to know some other people in there, and we have meetups coming up and everything like that. So again, ctmvip.com is where you go if you're interested in joining there. So,
okay.
All right, let's talk about, first thing on our list is the 2023 Destination D23 that was last weekend. And there were lots of announcements, so we will talk about a little bit what was announced, and then we'll talk about
details,
kind of what we think about it all, perhaps.
Okay, so the first thing that we want to talk about is the fact that Country Bear Jamboree, Jared's favorite show, is getting basically a redo. It's getting updated to come in 2024. Now, apparently this has been in the works for a while. I think back in 2018, they had started turning the wheels, trying to get this going. And then pandemic hit, and then they shelved it for a little bit. And so I think it's finally time to get an update to this attraction. Is it though? Well,
I'll put it this way: if if they want to listen, they want to renovate this godforsaken thing. I just hope they make a pledge or do something that they promise that the bears will not become sentient. That's the issue with the Country Bear. If you've ever seen this show, they will strike. I'm just saying, if you know anything about bears, they will strike. So I think there needs to be some sort of agreement, some sort of promise, although, they may not mean a lot. But anyways.
Well, it's getting some new songs, and the Bears will be performing a new act. And let's see, they will be reinterpreting favorite Disney songs in different genres of country music, like rockabilly, bluegrass, pop country, and other styles. And the Imagineers are envisioning the new take as a homage to the Grand Ole Opry in Nashville. And they're working with Nashville musicians to get the authentic country sound. But you'll still have characters like Lovable Trixie, Big Al, and others. So I don't remember the last time I watched this. It's been many years. I don't remember much about it. I just know that I was really bored. And I know what other people have said about it. So I'm happy that this is getting a revamp, but I also would have been happy if this just didn't exist. So,
well, this is one of those things that, well, first off, if you don't know the history of this, I have been warning against bears for a very long time.
A very long time.
To give you guys an idea, when I was in college, we had to give a presentation about how to do something. And I wanted to, everybody else was doing how to make cookies or how to whatever. And I was like, that sounds really boring. I want to do mine on how to defeat a bear because they're a threat to humanity. And the teacher at the time was like, I just want to see what you end up doing. So I had a buddy who had a gorilla costume because he didn't have a bear outfit. And we made a whole series on how to defeat a bear. Well, there's many ways to defeat a bear. But the reason you want to defeat a bear is because they hate happiness. And they will strike at any moment.
Yeah.
Dwight Schrute many times talked about this, and he was not wrong. That's why he kept watching Grizzly Man, because they will strike at any time.
Okay, you're
I'm just saying.
diverging. You're diverging.
Yes,
Sir.
I'm just saying. That's my history with bears. But
Okay.
So I would love nothing less than to see this show go away. But I do acknowledge it is a fan favorite. And for Disney, this is an easy win. It's something that a core group of people really want. It's not going to cost them much money. They're not going to redo the animatronics. They might clean them up a little bit. Get some new songs in here. So it's an easy win for them. So in that sense, you can appease the fan base a bit by doing this and get goodwill. So I understand why they would do this. I don't think they understand the threat that the bears cause. But
oh my gosh.
That's true. That's another discussion for another day.
Moving on to the next one. There is a new pirate-themed lounge coming to Adventureland. No date was given as far as when that was coming, but it looks like it's going to be Tortuga Tavern. Looks like they're going to make it into a lounge.
Now, this is I think this is a great idea, and why they didn't do this years ago, I'll never know.
I do.
Why?
I do because just recently they started they had more alcohol.
Well, yeah, right. I just mean in general, this would have been a great thing to have back there, like when Pirates was, the movies were really going. I feel like this is a little late there, but I do love this idea because Tortuga
it has some
Tavern,
potential. Yep.
Well, Tortuga Tavern back there kind of just doesn't do much as it is.
Well, like sometimes it's not even open.
Right. So I would love for this to be like a Nomad Lounge type of thing. That would be really cool.
I think that it really could be like that.
Yeah,
I really do.
It could be really cool. And if you had everyone was like acting like pirates or as a pirate haven, it has the potential to be really cool. I do like this. Now you will notice with this though, and you'll notice a trend with most of these announcements, which we will talk about, is there's not much details nor date given.
Right.
So just keep that in mind. We'll talk about that at the end to wrap this up. But I just want to keep in mind, all these things may sound really cool, but there's not a lot of details attached. And I think that's for a reason.
Well, and just FYI, there's only a few places in Magic Kingdom that sell alcohol. So we're kind of assuming this will be an arrangement where you can go here and have alcohol, but you can't leave with it. Like you have to drink it there.
Well, that's how most places. I mean, if you go to over at Animal Kingdom, even in Nomad Lounge, you can't bring alcohol out of there. I don't believe.
Right. I think it'll be similar to like Oga's. You have to stay there.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
But I think this is a great idea. So I'm excited for this when it happens.
If and when it happens. Yes.
We did get a little bit of an update about what's coming to Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, like beyond that, but not much. So what was it last year? Was it last year the D23 the expo? Right.
Yes.
They gave a blue sky idea about all this stuff that they're going to do beyond that, like, and not really being specific, but just saying like new attractions, new, restaurants, etc. And the only thing they really said in this is that like it's still in the development process, but we're making headway is basically.
I'll give you the version.
Said.
Basically, it's the exact same thing they said last year. They just use different verbiage.
Yeah, I mean they kind of likened it to the size of Pandora or Galaxy's Edge.
This is very much still it's a blue sky thing.
For sure. And they didn't say blue sky, but it is.
They made a very concerted effort during this entire presentation to not use the term blue sky because they got reamed for it when they used it last year.
Yeah.
So they never used the term blue sky, but they used a lot of concept in development, thinking about, planning on, perhaps will happen, but that they did not use the term blue sky on anything.
Right.
So just,
Yeah, there's really nothing more to talk about with that. We did get an update for the Hatbox Ghost. He's supposed to start appearing in Haunted Mansion this year, and we actually have a date that's supposed to be late November. Now, Jared and I were talking about this, that I don't think that this was the plan. I think they had planned to do this much earlier because it would have made a lot more sense for it to start being in Haunted Mansion whenever the movie came out back in July, and then now with Halloween and stuff. So I think there's some kind of delay that happened. Perhaps, I don't know.
I'm wondering if there's been some sort of delay going on.
It just makes more sense. So anyway, that will appear starting in late November. There is going to be a new Zootopia attraction coming to the Tree of Life, basically replacing It's a Bug's Life show.
Mm-hmm.
So.
I mean, Bugs Life
think that.
is a pretty dated show. Yeah, I mean, again, though, they did say planning on coming. So
no concrete.
I will just say none of these things that they announced were saying like these things are for sure. Now some they did, but most of these were not like, oh yeah, we are for sure doing this. Most of it was this is coming,
right?
Sort of thing. But yeah,
I'm okay with this. I've talked about this before. I don't like the Bugs Life show. I never have. I'm okay with this.
Well, I think it definitely has a reputation of being like scary, especially for kids.
I mean, it is. It's just not my thing.
So I think like getting something in there that families and kids would like to do
absolutely
is a good thing. So I think this would, and Zootopia does fit with Animal Kingdom.
Well, and we were kind of talking about what they were going to announce as far as Zootopia goes, because they just announced, what was it, in Hong Kong? The Zootopia land over there.
Yeah.
They talked about that just recently. We thought, oh, they're gonna put it in Animal Kingdom. They're gonna put it in the land, and it looks like they're not.
Well, that's what I was a little surprised by. The next thing was Dino Land, they said, is going to be rethemed to include Encanto, and a dinosaur attraction will be rethemed to Indiana Jones.
Yes.
So I was a little surprised that Zootopia was not going into Dino Land, because I felt like that was an easy win. I will say, I think Dino Land, they definitely need to do something with it. I'm not the biggest fan of the dinosaur ride. I know you really like it. I know a lot of people really do. I've never been a huge fan of that ride. I love Indiana Jones. There's only 3 Indiana Jones movies, though. But I do love Indiana Jones.
Oh gosh.
I don't really know if Indiana Jones fits in Animal Kingdom. And I really don't know. I mean, I guess you can make an argument for Encanto, given that like some of the powers of the kids were like involved animals. But I feel like it's a little bit of a stretch compared to something like Zootopia. I feel like Zootopia is that is something that definitely works in Animal Kingdom versus these other two. But again, they said this is coming. They did not give any specific details. They did release concept art for this.
And it looks nice. I think, like, again, Dino Land is not my thing, so I'm okay with this change for sure. I think it's more to do with how they can retheme the land to make it look like it fits in Animal Kingdom. And they use the verbiage like tropical Americas.
They did say that, yeah.
So if that's what they're going for, then okay, Encanto could fit into that, okay. Indiana Jones, that doesn't, I guess
you can take the archaeological route with it.
Yeah.
But again, that's not real. So it could fit. It depends on how they do it. Now, granted, mind you, I've said for a while, if you don't know, the dinosaur ride and the Indiana Jones ride over in Disneyland are basically the same ride. So it's the same ride system. So it wouldn't take a lot of effort to retheme it. And people do love the Indiana Jones ride.
Yeah.
So just on that alone, I like that better than Dinosaur. Mm-hmm. But again, I'd be curious as to how that works inside Animal Kingdom.
I wonder if they'll do the same like Temple of Forbidden Eye that's in Disneyland in this one, or just make it both Indiana Jones, but like make it a different kind of Indiana Jones.
I think the concept art did show a temple.
Okay, it's probably the same then.
Probably.
that's fine. But anyway, so that's another, again, this is all still quote unquote blue sky. So they talked about that, and then they gave some dates that we're going to get some stuff over at Epcot. So Moana Journey of Water is officially opening October 16th. The Figment meet and greet, which we knew was coming, actually began Sunday. And that is at the Imagination Pavilion, which have you seen good old Figment in the...
I have seen him. Yes. Mm-hmm. I've seen him. He had a little rough go there.
He did. He
fell a few times.
He did. I think he's okay today.
Somebody didn't go to training camp.
I think it was like something to do with where he's coming out.
I saw something. They added some lighting there, I think, for the costume looks a little... I could see how that's a little awkward to be in. So perhaps they couldn't see the ground really. I saw they put in some sort of track lighting to light up the flooring better from their coming out.
That's good. The new fireworks show, Luminous, The Symphony of Us, will debut December 5th of this year. And that is replacing basically Harmonious. So all the barges, they're gone, and they're putting up the new stuff for the show. And so it's coming at the end of the year.
We don't know if Mission Stargate was a success, but
Mission Stargate, they look like us. They like to talk about us. Harmonious.
Who do they mean by us?
Luminous.
The story of us.
The story of like
I'm assuming of humans.
people, humanity.
I guess.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yep.
I feel honored.
Great. Test Track 3.0 is in development. So
this will be the third time they redo Test Track.
3.0.
Yeah.
Yeah. This will be the third iteration of it.
I would like to hope. Now, we did something on this a long time ago. Test Track's had issues and it goes down quite a bit due to the fact it's like something to do with, I can't remember correctly, but it's had these issues since it was built. So I don't think they're going to probably solve that problem with it. I think this may be more to do with the fact that it looks a lot like Tron, and they may not want two things that look really Tron-like, maybe. But I don't know.
I didn't even think about that.
I mean, it could. I was a little surprised to hear him like talk about it because I didn't think that was something. But I mean, they said it'll be paying more of a homage to the older version of Test Track.
Okay. I mean, they did say something about World of Motion. They said they're gonna.
That's what it was. Sorry, World of
Motion.
Motion. Yeah.
So anyway, that's coming. Again, we don't know when. But we do know that World Celebration area, that whole area, will be open by December. So when they said late 2023, they meant it.
They meant very late. Yeah.
But yeah, those are like the main stuff that they announced. They did some little things here and there that, is all cool stuff and everything. But that's the main stuff we wanted to mention.
So all in all, that was announced.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on it?
I think while I'm happy to hear all this stuff that's coming, I think that people were expecting a little more concrete details and concrete dates for things, and not just we want to do this, thinking about doing this, considering doing this. But it's what Disney is doing. I don't know. Can't make him do it, I guess. I'll just hang on to a dream.
Hang on to a dream. Well, I made a little prediction I think I put in the main group as well. And I basically said, and I've been saying on the show for a few weeks now, that Disney will probably give more details about what things have already in process, like Moana, but that whatever they came out and said wouldn't have any hard dates put on it. Now, I was a little surprised at how much this was another Blue Sky event, just not calling it Blue Sky. But I'm not surprised this is what they did. So I think people had these lofty expectations, one of which being the assumption has been for a couple of years now that Disney would have some sort of counter to Epic Universe that's being built by Universal Studios. So last D23, they didn't really have much. So a lot of people thought, oh man, so this one, surely they will. I've been saying for a while, they really can't right now. Because for the first time probably at least as I can remember, they're hampered a bit. And one of the things that drags them down is Disney Plus. Disney Plus is costing them a lot of money per quarter, on top of the fact that they are buying, and they announced, we talked about this, I think we talked about it last week, they're moving up the date to buy the rest of Hulu to the end of this month. Mm-hmm. Which we don't know how much it's going to cost them. It's going to be anywhere from in the 9 to 20 some billion dollar range. Mm-hmm. They haven't announced how much that's going to be. It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And they're going to have to borrow that money. So I don't think that right now they're in a position to put a lot of investments into the parks, given the other costs they have. Plus the movies right now are losing money.
Yeah. So
things are draining money from them that haven't been the case in the past.
Right.
So I wasn't surprised by this. And I don't, the thing is, I don't know how many more D23s or announcements they can do where they do things like this. Because you even notice with this one, a lot of people were very, some people were really acting, and not that there's nothing to be excited about, but a lot of people were like, okay, this seems very much like just we would like to do these sort of things. Mm-hmm. So if they do this again, I don't know. The audience has been trained. It's sort of like Apple. The audience or the customers of Apple have been trained every year. There's an Apple event in September,
right?
And we're going to announce some new iPhones and this, and that. The Disney audience has been trained the same way, that there's going to be announcements at D23 and things like that. So if they do this again next year, I don't know. And I said all along, even if they announced a new land, they wouldn't put a date on it because I don't think right now they're really in a position to say they're going to commit how much money it would take to do a lot of this stuff. Now, some of the stuff they announced, like Country Bear, that's an easy win for them, and it's not going to cost them a lot of money.
Right.
The pirate-themed lounge, that's an easy win as well. That wouldn't cost a lot of money. So there's a lot of things they can do, like easy wins that will appease the fan base that are smart to do.
Yeah.
Hatbox Go's coming back.
But again, that was already announced.
Yeah, Figment is an easy one. I mean, it's been crazy that Figment hasn't had a meet and greet for 15 years, and people love Figment. So like, they're doing a lot of these things, like Epcot, the fireworks show, the Moana thing is getting done. Mm-hmm. But the other things, like the Dinoland thing, who knows? I'm sure they will do something with Dinoland. But again, if you've been around Disney long enough, what they announce and what they end up doing many times are vastly different. Things get pared down quite a bit.
Right.
So all I would say is it's sort of a wait and see sort of situation, but I'm not surprised by any of this. But the thing I will say is that going forward, I don't know if they do another announcement, let's say next year at D23 like this. I don't know how the audience will take that. I would imagine not well.
Well, and they did say that next year it'll be in Anaheim. It's a D23 Expo, and it's going to be a lot bigger this time.
Right.
So that makes me think that maybe they'll be more prepared.
Well,
I don't know.
And right now you are less than 2 years away from Epic Universe opening.
Right.
And I know a lot of the Disney audience isn't really too aware of Epic Universe, but I can tell you it is a massive, massive theme park that has a lot of interest from people. That is going to be a big draw.
Right.
And the thing that it's going to do when it comes to Disney versus Universal, and I'm not, like Universal may never be as big as Disney. I'm not saying that they're going to overtake Disney. They have been eating into market share. Disney has been playing defense against Universal for a bit. Harry Potter opened up. They've done Pandora. They've done Galaxy's Edge. So like they definitely have been reacting to Universal. What this new land does is a lot of people just add on a Universal trip to their Disney trip. Mm-hmm. What this does is almost force people into, maybe they just will choose Epic Universe, but it could force people into spending 4 to 5 days at Universal. Mm-hmm. So it can make people choose. So I would think next year they'd have a rebuttal, but even then, even if they come up with something really big next year, I mean, you're not going to see that actually physically be a thing for at least half a decade, if not more, at the rate in which Disney builds. So it'll be interesting to see. I think Universal is definitely going to force them to put more money into Disney World. I think a lot of people many times ask, Disney World kind of tends to not always get the most stuff when you look overseas or at Disneyland. So I definitely think it's going to force them to do some more stuff. I just don't know that timeline. But yeah, so
okay.
All in all, wasn't too surprised. But yeah, I know some people were disappointed though. And some people were excited. It was kind of a mix, but
yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's all we have to talk about the D23 stuff.
Okay.
There is a new rideshare pickup and drop-off location that has opened at Epcot.
Yeah. So do you remember where the old one was?
I do. There's been a few of them, but I do remember, yes, over there to the right side.
So like the location of it for rideshare was like really close, right? But this one's not. This one's not close.
Oh, I'm shocked. I'm so shocked.
Well, it just got too congested. Like it was just not a good area because they kind of just makeshifted it into the existing parking lot. Right. So what they did was right by the Disney bus depot, and I meant like the Disney-owned hotels, that part, right, I guess right behind it in the existing parking lot, they've made almost like a little U, almost like 2 U's together that can accommodate up to 25 Ubers, Lyfts, etc.
Oh, okay.
So it's a much better layout, but it is a little bit more of a walk. So like if you're imagining, if you're coming out of Epcot and let's say you turn to go toward the bus depot, the Disney one, you would just keep going on going south on the side of the bus depot, and there's like a little sidewalk that goes into the parking lot, which we've taken before.
We have. Yeah.
It's just right to the left of that.
Oh, okay.
Do you imagine? Can you picture what I'm saying?
I have it clearly in my mind.
Okay. If you were to go to the old location where rideshare used to be, it'll have a little arrow that says rideshare this way. So you could go there and they're just going to keep walking like into the parking lot on that side, and just you will eventually run into it.
There's going to be a guy going, get
over
get on
here.
out of here.
Yeah.
And
So
he's gonna do like that to you.
yeah.
Tell your
But I
horse
know,
to go.
but I know a lot of people do use rideshare at Disney and at Epcot too. So this would, impact some people. So.
Yes. So if it's going to impact you, just know it's going to be a little different.
Yes.
So there you go. All right. And we got two little things here, and this is all the news we've got, is the Cake Bake Shop, which is replacing the ESPN
Club.
ESPN Club.
Uh-huh.
It got delayed, but it is officially confirms it has an opening date in early 2024. So it's not as delayed as potentially as we thought it was going to be.
In early 2024, that's a range. That's a range, sir.
Disney always does this. They go, it's going to open sometime after 2022.
We're going to give you a couple of months range in here. And
It'll open within the decade. I'm like, what does that mean? I'm like, wait
it's all right.
and see.
At least we know. So
Yeah, it's true. And then the opening night of Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party. I almost said Not So Scary Christmas Party.
Not So Scary Christmas Party.
Yeah.
Very Merry Halloween Party.
One of those parties is sold out.
Yeah, there's many other dates to choose from, but the opening night is gone. And that was November 9th.
Okay.
So get your tickets.
Get your tickets. Yes. All right. Well, that's all the news we have, but we do have a poll time.
Poll time. All right, for a poll time this week, I asked the question, what is the best value resort hotel at Walt Disney World? And explain in the comments. So unsurprisingly, 79% went to Pop Century, 15% went to Art of Animation, and All Stars got 3, 2, and 1% of the vote. So widely acceptable of Pop Century being the number one.
Okay. In other news, 3 to 2% of our audience is easily pleased.
Hey, maybe they like the theming,
Listen, hey, there's nothing wrong with being easily pleased. I'm just saying.
Here's the thing now, okay?
Maybe they've never been to a hotel.
Well, here's the thing. With Pop Century and the All Stars now, the rooms are exactly the same.
True.
The rooms are not different. The only difference is the headboard. I mean, they both have the queen bed and the pull down Murphy bed. It's like the same layout.
Mm-hmm. So
So really, there's no difference in the room. It's just amenities and the actual resort. So I think where Pop Century stays apart from All Stars is that it's got the Skyliner.
yeah, I think it also has a better food area than the All Stars in my opinion. But
Well, that, and it has the advantage of you can use Art of Animation. We go across and it's right there.
right.
Art of Animation, a lot of people said that they like Art of Animation, but the fact that the suites are included and they feel more like moderate or deluxe pricing is kind of off-putting. And they said if you want value price with what the Skyliner and everything, then Pop Century is definitely the number one. And I would agree with that. I like Art of Animation. I like the way it's themed, but I think the best one is Pop Century.
No, I agree actually. It's just
Yeah.
something about Art of Animation. I've never really liked it as much. I can't really put my finger on as to why, but yeah, I actually agree. I think Pop Century is I shouldn't say by far, but it is my favorite value.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we stay there a bunch of times. I love it.
We have stayed there many times, yeah. So I agree. Jared agrees this week.
Jared agrees.
Yes.
I love it.
Yes.
But yeah, so thank you everybody for participating in the poll this week. I will have a new poll next week.
Yes, and if you want to be part of the next poll time, you can do that in two ways. You can go to the Capture the Magic Facebook community, or you can also do it over on Instagram, where Jamie posts those in the stories, and you can vote. You could vote both ways if you'd like. We're not checking. So.
Okay.
At least yet.
Not
All
checking.
right. At least yet. All right. So today we are going to talk about some rope drop tips and, I guess be my experience rope dropping Hollywood Studios particularly.
Yeah.
And some of these things would apply to all the other parks as well. But we're going to talk about specifically Hollywood Studios. So I suppose this is the part of the show where I shift it to you, since I feel like I will do a lot of the talking here.
Sure.
So then I'm going to hand the baton.
Hand the baton.
Yeah, I said that one wrong. Han. Apparently Han is going to grab it. I'm going to hand you the baton of the hosting duties. So
Han the baton.
if you're listening, I've handed Jamie a golden baton. So here you go.
No, you Han the baton. Now it's in my head. Okay, so yeah, we're going to talk about rope dropping Hollywood Studios. In your opinion, of all 4 of the parks, do you think this one is maybe one of the most important ones to rope drop?
Probably. It depends on what you want to do. But yeah, I mean, given you've got Rise of the Resistance, you got Slinky Dog. So you've got 2 major rides that there's a lot of wait times for. So
Rock and Roller Coaster.
Yeah, so you definitely have to pick one. But if you want to ride one of those without, a lot of wait and you don't want to get Genie Plus, then yeah, I would say this would be one where, you can't do all of it, but you got to kind of have a plan.
Okay, so you're gonna take us through your morning, sir.
Well, all right. How far do you want to go?
This was weeks ago, so please.
Well, this is the day. So our daughter and I, we had a little daddy-daughter morning. This is the day we went to a Halloween party. So we planned on only spending 2 to 3 hours at most in the park. So it's just sort of because you have early access.
Well, she wanted to do Slinky Dog really bad, and I said the only way you're going to do it is you're going to have to rope drop. She's like, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So that's what they did.
Yes.
Okay. So you got up, and what time did you get? Because we were staying at Caribbean Beach. So what time did you get to the Skyliner?
I'd say we probably got to the Skyliner 7:15, 7:20, somewhere around there.
Okay. And was it running yet?
It was running.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was running. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So Disney advertises that the Skyliner opens an hour before early entry, but occasionally they will run it a little earlier, like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
So they did on this morning. So that's cool. I would say when you're doing early entry rope dropping, get to the park 30 to 60 minutes before it starts. So for this morning, it started at 8:30.
Mm-hmm.
So 7:30 is a good time to get there because of what we're going to talk about in a second. So by the time you got to the Skyliner and you got over there, it only takes 5 to 7 minutes maybe when you're actually on it.
Yeah, it didn't take very long.
Okay. So when you scanned in through security and all that stuff, how long do you remember how long you were waiting before you got to scan in?
I mean, we got there. We didn't wait very long. By the time we got there, we maybe waited 10 minutes and they started letting people into the park, and it was actually 7:40 around there.
Okay.
And they let people in, and then we were walking back. So we walked straight back to Toy Story Land to get in line for Slinky Dog. So we were in line for Slinky Dog a little bit before 8 o'clock.
Okay. And I know with Slinky, they start moving the line quicker or something earlier than when early entry starts.
So they did. So the line looked really bad. We got back there. It was quite a bit long ways back there, but they didn't let anybody in the queue yet. So they didn't let anybody in the queue.
Like the actual queue.
The actual queue to the ride until about I'd say 8:20. We waited there for a little bit. And then they actually didn't let anybody get onto the ride until 8:30.
Oh, okay. So you got to fill in.
They filled in the line, but once they let you into the line and going, I mean, it was basically a walk on. So that just tells you, if you see that long line and you're there early, you're not going to wait because usually at the point you see it, we were almost to the entrance of Toy Story. Not to the entrance, but to the curve when you walk into Toy Story Land. Mm-hmm. But that's just because nobody's in that queue yet. So at that point, you'd be assuming oh, this is going to be a 100-minute wait. But once you fill in, and when you go in there, you realize how much you wind around in there. I mean, we maybe waited in line 5 minutes after people were riding it.
Okay, so they started the actual ride at 8:30.
Around there, I looked at. They might have started a little bit early, but they didn't. Sometimes I've heard stories, and we've seen it sometimes where they start letting people on quite a bit earlier. They didn't on this morning.
Okay, interesting. So I'm just refreshing. So you got in line about 7:45 for Slinky Dog, and got onto the ride about 7:35 or 8:35.
So around there, yeah.
Okay. So roughly a 50-minute wait.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Because that's the lowest wait you're ever going to have.
Yeah.
In the morning. Or, I mean, I guess you could catch it at night too if you want to do that. But for rope dropping, that's why we say it's important to get there an hour beforehand because you get to be one of the first people to get into the park, to get into the line.
Well, and also, I mean, you're still waiting in line, but by the time
Yeah.
you get that done, then you still have extra time.
Absolutely.
So that's kind of the difference there before instead of waiting that, during like say the middle of the day.
Absolutely. Okay, so when you got off of Slinky Dog, obviously that ride's only a few minutes, and you still had, 20 minutes left of early entry?
Yes.
Okay, what did you do after that?
So our daughter, she wanted to ride Toy Story Mania.
Okay.
So we did that, which was, it was a straight walk on.
Perfect.
I think it said 10-minute wait, but yeah, there was a walk on there. So we rode that. Mm-hmm. And went from there. So by the time we got out of there, I think the park was open, but we went over to Smuggler's Run.
Okay.
And that was maybe a 15-minute wait.
Perfect.
Very short. Rode that. Mm-hmm. And then we got out of there. So at that point, it was about, I'd say 9:20, 9:30, somewhere around there.
Okay.
And then our daughter at that point was kind of like done-ish. So we were going to do Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, but it was down. Mm-hmm. So it had said it was like a 30-minute wait, but we went over there, checked the board, said it was down. So we decided the park was open at that point. Things were going to start piling up. Mm-hmm. And so we just went ahead and did the Muppet Show, which it had been a while since I had done that. And it had been a while since she had done that. Uh-huh. So we did the Muppet Show. Again, that's never
just
really,
wait for the next show.
Yeah, so we maybe waited like 15 minutes in there, which that's cute. I mean, I enjoyed Muppets, and she liked it because I don't know if she remembered it. It had been a couple of years since she did it. But we did that. And then at that point, Star Tours was like a 25-minute wait. Like things really started piling up at that point, and she was tired.
Yeah.
So the last thing we decided to do was like, well, let's go meet Olaf, because Olaf was a short wait. Uh-huh. So I'm not gonna lie, she was a little cranky because she was really tired that day. And I was like, well, let's go do it. So we went and did Olaf, which she was happy about. So I think we waited for Olaf, 15 minutes. It wasn't a long wait. So the waits that ended up having a long wait once the park opened was like Slinky Dog, Rise of the Resistance, Rock and Roller Coaster, Tower of Terror, those main ones. And then Star Tours, if Star Tours is over 20 minutes, that's a long wait to me.
For that ride.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So Smugglers, I think, started creeping up to like 45 minutes on that morning there. So we did Olaf, met Olaf. She was happy about that. She was surprised he didn't notice that she lost her tooth, because she lost her tooth the morning before.
Oh, that's right.
And I was like, well, he just forgot to say something. But so at that point, it was a little bit before 10 o'clock, and she was tired. We'd already done basically everything we wanted to do. I mean, she mainly wanted to ride Slinky Dog.
Right.
So at that point, she doesn't like Rise, and she didn't really have much interest in that. So I got her some ice cream, as a 7-year-old once at 10 o'clock in the morning. And then I got a coffee. We took some pictures in front of the theater. And at that point, that was kind of our morning. But we did we rode Slinky Dog, Toy Story Mania, Smuggler's Run, did the Muppets, and we met Olaf. So we did 5 things in the matter of less than 2 hours. Right.
Which is really good.
Yeah, really and it was, 30 minutes isn't a lot. I think it should be closer to an hour, personally speaking. But even with the 30 minutes, you've got quite an advantage there.
Absolutely.
And you have to choose. So if you want to do Rise, you could go do Rise. It probably was a similar situation to Slinky Dog. Mm-hmm. So it's like you kind of have to pick and choose on that.
Right.
So obviously we do Slinky Dog. But so you get a head start to where, when everybody rushes into the park, they're also going to go to the busy ride. So if you get one of those out of the way, then you're freed up to do like, Smugglers or Toy Story Mania or one of the secondary rides, and you don't have to wait a long time. So you knock out that big one there, and it kind of frees up your morning a little bit more.
Absolutely. This is why we always stress like staying on property or staying in a hotel that's like a good neighbor hotel or that offers the early entry perk is like major, because you can get a lot done without having to utilize Genie Plus, early
if you don't want to use Genie Plus.
Yeah, if you don't want to use it.
Or if you do still want to do Genie Plus and do that, you can do quite a bit, but yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. So, you talked about taking the Skyliner. I'm going to back up a little bit. We talked about taking the Skyliner, and you got there like a little over an hour before early entry officially started. But most hotels have the bus transportation where you can take to Disney. They also have like the boats and everything. So the boats, would you recommend taking the boats like in the Crescent Lake area, like Boardwalk, Beach Club? Would you recommend people take the boat or no?
In my experience, if you're really like pushing time, like you've got a timetable you're working on.
With rope dropping.
Right. I wouldn't, personally speaking. I enjoy the boats, but I probably wouldn't. They kind of tend to run slow over there.
Well, I mean, if you're from Swan and Dolphin, and you might be able to hop on and go, and that might be okay.
I've actually never done it first thing in the morning, so I can't really speak to it. I just know I don't know. To me, the boats are a little inconsistent. So if I was really pressed for time, I would probably not.
I would just walk.
That's what I'm saying. If I was in that area, I would just walk over.
I would definitely just walk. If it were just me, I would just walk for sure. For the buses, though, so they start picking up an hour before early entry.
Yes.
So
typically, yeah.
Yeah. For in this case where early entry started at 8:30, the buses wouldn't even start until 7:30.
Right.
So my advice, if you are wanting to be very early or, in the front of the line to get into Hollywood Studios or as much as you can, you need to get there to the bus stop like 10, 15 minutes before that first bus. Because once that bus goes, if you get it and you miss it, you got to wait like 15 or 20 minutes for the next one.
A lot of times, sometimes it definitely depends. You may do that. Sometimes they do have more buses waiting. Kind of depends on how they're setting it up that morning. I know like at the values, sometimes if you're going to Magic Kingdom, they'll have multiple buses in a row because they know that that's a heavy traffic. So it does depend. Sometimes you may have another bus waiting for you, or you may be waiting 15 to 20 minutes.
But don't chance it.
I wouldn't. I would.
Right.
I would not say plan on there being an extra bus waiting there.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So before we go any further, Jared, what is rope dropping? We didn't say exactly what that is because maybe someone listening doesn't know.
Well, rope dropping. Well, in Disney history, there used to be an actual physical rope that basically they would put across that divided the guests and the park. So sort of like you can't cross this line. And cast members would drop the rope when the park opened, and then people would mad dash, and it was all Mad Max, and people would, all sorts of things happen. Probably, I'm guessing. But so now they don't actually have a rope. It's just what you call getting there right when the park opens. So,
well, some places do have ropes. So Hollywood Studios doesn't because they just hold you at the entrance, But there is a little rope at Magic Kingdom.
In some way, I just mean they don't have like one giant rope,
and it's not at the entrance like it used to be.
They have roped off areas where you can't go.
Could you imagine if they had the traditional rope dropping at Magic Kingdom like they used to? People would just be super crowded in the front. I mean, that's why they let people in.
That's why they let they let people in because I think if you understand like crowd logistics, like the more people get gathered together, like it's kind of actually frightening. People they just behave differently in a mob scenario. So it's smart to just be like, okay, let them into the park because at the very least, like from their perspective, they can't ride. The rides aren't open yet, but you can get in line, which disperses the crowd. Plus, people go in there and they'll buy stuff. The shops will be open usually, so it's like you can go get coffee or food or like go buy some things, and it just disperses the crowd a little bit. So that's why they do that, so you don't have this massive, and also too like this massive line with security now and all these things like that. So
right.
And I know the morning we were there, I mean when we got there weren't a ton of people there yet, which I was a little surprised by. But within the 10 minutes we were there, like there was definitely a big line starting to form, which is why they let people in.
Well, you followed my advice. You got there an hour before.
Your advice?
Well, the advice.
Our advice?
Our advice. I mean, getting there at 7:30, open officially started at 8:30. That's an hour before. And then they let you in like 10 minutes later. So, it was a good thing you were there.
So I guess at this point we could talk about, this is obviously my personal experience there. And like you can apply that to other parks as well. I mean, it's the same idea applies. Get there early. Like Magic Kingdom, obviously they're going to let you into the hub a lot of times. Yeah. And then you've got the other areas you're going to go to. So definitely, first off, we'll talk about some rope dropping strategies.
Specifically for this park, though, because this park is different.
But also for all parks, I will say, utilize early theme park entry if you can.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's a one for sure. And I would also say, know what you want to do before you go. I think the last thing you would want to do is get in there and then be like, what are we doing?
Right.
Because at that point, if you're already there early, like if we would have hesitated on like, let's say we're waffling on which way we want to go, you could go from like a straight, like you wait in that line anyways to a walk on to you're waiting 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people piled in behind us at that point. So I think it's get in as soon as you can and then know where you want to go.
Yeah.
So
I got that.
be prepared.
Be prepared.
Yeah.
Sorry. You said it. I couldn't.
What's that from?
Lion King.
Oh, I was.
Scar.
Sorry. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
You're a villain now.
Anyway, but so some other strategies for rope dropping at Hollywood studios is and this is just what I'm thinking of. So if Rise of the Resistance is on your list to do that day, go there first. Like rope drop that ride.
Yes.
Because it will notoriously get very long waits, and it also breaks down a lot.
I was gonna say if I would get that done as soon as possible for that reason alone, which
Yes.
it can break down quite a bit.
Yes. If you don't do Rise, do Slinky Dog. Tower of Terror and Rock and Roller Coaster are also options, but they don't have as big of weights right off the bat as the other two.
Yeah, I feel like if you did one of the, say you did Slinky Dog or Rise, and if you hustled, you rode those really quickly, you could get over to Rock and Roller Coaster or Tower of Terror.
I do not recommend that.
Well, I'm saying you could, and you would have a lower weight potentially. If those, I'm saying if these are two things you definitely want to do, that would be a way in which you could do it.
So if you did Rise, see the thing is with Rise, it's a long ride. So if you
It
did
is.
that, by the time you get out, the park is pretty much open.
Well, so I'm saying, the reason I'm saying that is if you want to do those is because a lot of people when they first get to the park are also going to go to Rise and Slinky Dog. Some will go to Tower of Terror and Rock and Roller Coaster, but let's say your two main things you want to do are Rise and Tower of Terror. You could knock those out first thing in the morning with relatively low wait times. Yeah, it's not, I mean, you're going to be walking a lot, but you could.
I mean, if it were me, I wouldn't do that going back and forth, like crossing the whole park like that early. I would do, like, if it were me, I would do Rise, and then I would stay in Galaxy's Edge and do like Smuggler's Run and get those things over with. And then eventually make my way over to Tower of Terror or use Genie Plus or whatever.
I'm just saying there's many ways you could go about it. I'm simply saying if that was like, because a lot of people will say they for sure want to do Tower of Terror. My thing would be I wouldn't rope drop Tower of Terror because I think you can ride Tower of Terror like a second ride less way. Like if you want
you could,
like if you want to do Tower of Terror and Slinky Dog, I would put Slinky Dog first.
Yeah. For sure.
And then, so I think that's where you have to like prioritize. Like even if Tower of Terror is like your number one thing you want to do, it's not going to have the wait time that a Slinky Dog does. So if you want to do both, put Slinky Dog ahead of Tower of Terror.
Right. I mean, I would say about, I don't know, like 40% of the people in early entry go to Rise, 40% go to Slinky, and then like 20% go to Tower of Terror or Rock and Roller Coaster. Do you think that's a good spread?
Probably. I mean, something around there. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that. Another one that you mentioned that you did this was you got Starbucks right, kind of like closer to the end of before you guys left, right?
Yeah. So I always say, this is why I shared that tip a couple of weeks ago where it's talking about like getting your coffee ahead of time the night before instead of getting it the morning of. So I wouldn't get Starbucks or any of the coffee. I mean, maybe you can make an argument for Joffrey's because those stands aren't as busy as Starbucks. But if you're wanting to go to Starbucks, I would skip it first thing in the morning because it is packed in there.
Right. And like you're wasting valuable ride time.
And that's where it comes down to like prioritizing, especially early entry and rope dropping, like prioritizing your time to be the most efficient. Yeah. So you can wait in line for Starbucks, but you're also, relatively speaking, the Starbucks line is the Starbucks line. Like it's going to move. But if you wait in that line and then go, say, get in line for Slinky Dog, you're now going to wait an hour for Slinky Dog. So these are things where you just have to prioritize your choices or first thing in the morning. So I would skip the Starbucks and get your coffee after you've done, maybe get your coffee at like 10:30, 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
And then do it that way. So that's just, it just comes down to like trying to make choices that, you can ride stuff more and then you get stuff done earlier in the day.
Yeah, absolutely. I have one. So, we're talking about Rise going down sometimes. So sometimes when you get there, and you don't know this until you actually get to the ride, Rise is down for the morning. You could arrive and it's not opened. If that happens, and and this is one of those rides that you have to do, immediately go onto the My Disney Experience app and buy a Lightning Lane. Because if for some reason it does not open the rest of the day, or you're unable to use it, you do get a refund.
True.
So, you know what I'm saying? So like that kind of ensures that if you do get to ride it, then, you have like a actual time where you can go back. And then if you don't, you will get your money back.
Yeah. And again, this is if like riding rides is like your number one priority.
Sure.
And there are some people that go that all they want, or the main thing they want to do is ride rides. So I would agree. Because if it doesn't reopen, which does happen sometimes, right, that you do get a refund on that.
Or do both. If you really like it, rope drop it and get a Lightning Lane.
You can. Yeah.
Do both.
Very true.
And just a reminder, hotel guests can get individual Lightning Lanes for Rise, for example, at 7 a.m. Otherwise, everybody else is at park opening. So you could still get it before park opening guests get it.
Yeah. Agreed.
So do you have any other strategies you would say for Hollywood Studios?
Well, Hollywood Studios is a park of dead ends.
We talked about that.
So it's a little hard. This is why our discussion about, going to Tower of Terror afterwards, it's not like where Magic Kingdom, you can make a circle and catch everything. And so, you'd say you could do the same thing with Epcot and other parks. This one is really, you have to be really kind of more efficient or really know what you want to do. So first off, like, know the rides you want to ride. The meet and greets, I would put in the second or third tier. Those like the Olaf thing, I don't think that ever gets over really like a 20 or 30 minute wait. I mean, maybe on a really busy day it may get more. So you do your meet and greets later. So I would prioritize the main ride you want to do first thing in the morning and knock those out, and then go to like your coffee or getting food, and then the meet and greets, stuff like that. So that basically when it comes to that park, that's how I would go about it, and then have a plan there just because of the weird layout of the park.
That's a good point.
So if you go to Toy Story Land, you can get to Galaxy's Edge. Right. So those two flow together.
Right.
But if you're also like Tower of Terror, you've got to go completely I mean, you almost have to go to the entrance of the park to then get over to Tower of Terror and Sunset Boulevard.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
going back to kind of what we talked about with, you were talking about zigzagging. If you want to hit like Tower of Terror and Rise, like you could do it pretty quickly in the morning. Like I said, I would probably try and get all of the rides in the land done and just be done with that. So like, let's say you rope drop Slinky Dog and like you guys did Toy Story Mania right after that. I would knock out Aliens Swirling Saucers if that's, if it was
you could, and it did have a low wait. It had like a 10-minute wait.
Yeah. Get all of those done, finish up with that land, especially Toy Story Land. It gets very hot, especially in the summer. It gets very hot there, especially in the middle of the afternoon.
Yeah.
And get it done in the morning, get it done, and then move on to a different land. I don't know. Like it could work, especially since Toy Story Mania does get long lines too. Like it does get long.
It kind of depends. Like Toy Story Mania is one of those where if like Rise is down, and Slinky Dog on that day we went there, it was down later in the day. So Slinky Dog does go down sometimes. So if like Slinky Dog goes down and let's say Rise goes down, Toy Story Mania is going to have a really long wait.
Yeah.
Or a longer wait.
Right.
So it's kind of like it ebbs and flows a little bit. It doesn't have a consistently long wait, but it can get up there sometimes.
Right.
So one thing I would say about when it comes to planning and rope dropping and stuff like that is, like we said, have your tier per se, and then you may have to be a little flexible because like the day we were there, later in the day Slinky Dog went down, Mickey Minnie's Runaway Railway was down right off the bat. So ideally the plan for us would have been ride Slinky Dog, Toy Story Mania, go hit Smuggler's Run, and then go hit Mickey and Minnie's, and then maybe do Muppets, and then do. So we potentially would have got 6 things done. But Mickey and Minnie, we would have been able to get right in line, like either right at open or right before it.
Yeah.
Or somewhere around there.
Okay.
So you may have to, and if you already know the tier in which you want to hit things, you may have to be a little bit on your feet about what you need to do. Because again, the last thing, like, it seems like a lot of pressure, and it is. And this is one of the things that people have a complaint when it comes to Disney World. But you may be stuck in a spot where if you sit there with a group, let's say you got a group of 5 people, and the ride you want to go is down, and you're sitting there talking about, well, what do we do next? Let's say it takes 20 minutes to figure that out.
I hope not.
Right. Or whatever it is. Like, I don't know, maybe people get in huge fights about this. That's valuable time you could be where you go from waiting 20 minutes to waiting 45 minutes. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
So just being like, okay, if this is down, we're going to do this, and just have a backup plan, for your morning is what I would say.
And also a good strategy too is like if you're going to be there for early entry, rope dropping, you're just getting as many rides as you can done before it gets too busy. On that second ride of the day, so you've done your first ride, you've gotten through it. It's still early entry. You're getting on that second ride. When you're in line for that second ride, put in a mobile order for some breakfast.
Yeah, you can do that.
And then as soon as you're done with that ride, you just pick it up and you can eat it, on the go. Hopefully you're not doing Rock and Roller Coaster after. But let's just say you do Mickey and Minnie's or something.
Maybe you like to live dangerously.
So that's a good strategy. That's a good strategy anyway, is to do mobile order while you're waiting for the next ride.
And if you wanted coffee and you weren't stuck on Starbucks, you can get coffee at a lot of the quick service places, so you could mobile order it. If coffee was like a really big thing and you don't want to wait till 11 o'clock, you could try and do it quickly that way. So
can you mobile order Starbucks?
No, you can mobile order. So a lot of the mobile order, the quick service places will have Joffrey's.
Oh, that's
so
what
it's not Starbucks,
okay.
but you can still get like they have some of the cold brews and things you can get from the.
You psyched me out. I got excited for a second. I was like,
if Starbucks had a quick service line, I feel like it would just be longer than
or mobile order.
It would be like Slinky Dog. I think you just have everybody there trying to mobile order, and it'd be longer than anything. But
probably.
But yeah, that's all the things that I can think of. I mean, all in all, it was a really good morning, and it was nice because we didn't plan on being there very long, but we got 5 things done. I think we were in and out of there. It was almost an hour and a half. It wasn't that long. We were there. Then we were back at the hotel, plenty of time before the party that night, kind of took it easy the rest of the day. So you can get a lot of stuff done. Again, we knew what we wanted to do, walk with purpose once you get into the park.
Walk with purpose.
Know where you want to go, head high, all that stuff. But
if you're driving, by the way, the parking plaza doesn't open until an hour before the park. So if early entry is at 8:30, it doesn't open until 7:30. So I would be there waiting for it to open so you can get in, park as soon as you can, so you can get.
So what you're saying is rope drop the parking.
Rope drop parking.
So you can rope drop the park. So you can rope drop the ride.
Listen, it's a lot of rope dropping.
This is rope dropping inception. Okay, you're going to rope drop the rope drop.
I have to say, these tips for rope dropping Disney has actually helped me in my regular life.
Well, I mean, that's true.
Like a lot of places where people just aren't familiar with, rope dropping stuff. I'm just like, oh, I'm the first one here. Or I'm the first one to get this. Nobody cares. No. Okay. Wonderful.
Like noobs. Been doing this a long time. But all right. Well, you got any other tips that you can think of?
At the moment, no. I just wanted to kind of give a little bit of strategies for anybody that's, going to do this or has done this and wasn't successful, and things to keep in mind. And I wanted to hear your recounting of your morning.
Recounting of my morning.
Yeah. And if you're listening and you have some other tips that we did not mention,
keep them to yourself.
No.
What? Oh, I'm sorry.
Stop.
Oh.
We would love to hear those. So you can always reach out to us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Threads.
I would say email.
Twitter.
Do you still check Threads?
I don't.
Yeah, don't reach out on Threads.
I don't use
don't
Threads
do that
anymore. Really,
what Jamie meant to say was Instagram or email is the best.
or
if you're in the Facebook group.
Yeah, which is Capture the Magic Community, in case you're wondering.
Yeah.
So.
I think it'd be funny. And if you have any tips, just don't send them to us. I'm just kidding.
That's terrible.
That was why I said it would be funny.
I know.
Anyways, a lot of this stuff does apply. Again, we will talk about other parks as well as we do things. But the same idea, I would say the biggest thing I would say, no matter what park you're going to rope drop, would be just having a plan. That's the worst thing. You see people doing this.
Be there early.
And you see people like at rope drop and they're going like, well, where do you want to go first? I'm like, oh, come on. Like, and they don't, or they're going to the wrong thing first. Like that's the biggest thing. They know what you want to do and then understand, if you're going to Magic Kingdom and you're like, let's rope drop the teacups. I'm like, don't rope drop the teacups. You can ride that anytime. So it's stuff like that. But yeah, but that's all I've got. And I think that's all Jamie has as well.
I think so.
Okay. Well, I think in that case, that will do it for the show.
Okie dokie.
So, but before we go, be sure, if you want to see how this morning actually went, we have a vlog about this that we did with my daughter and I. And you can see it on the YouTube channel over at Captain Magic. And over there, we also got some Epic Universe construction updates, which I'll be doing a lot more of those, plus vlogs of stuff we do. And if you want to see video versions of the podcast, you can go check out on the other YouTube channel, which is at CTM Podcast, where we have clips in video versions of the podcast. And we have other shows on the network like CTM Universal, where we talk about Universal Studios. And on Monday, we talked about Jamie's experience at Halloween Horror Nights. So if you're looking to go there, she talks about how that went for her. We also have Trip Tales, which is Jamie's Trip Report show. And the next one there is coming out on Monday.
Monday.
And of course, if you want even more content, look at Joining Club 32, ctmvip.com. And that will do it. Also, social media. It's at Captain Magic everywhere except for TikTok, which is at Capture the Magic. And we have reels and all sorts of things we do over there. So, all right, well, that'll do it for the show. So thank you, everybody, for listening and or watching. And thank you, Jamie, for joining us.
Thank you.
And as Jamie always likes to say,
we will see you in the parks.
Bye. Get ready to elevate your fall and Halloween style with our exclusive CTM Apparel Halloween collection.
It's the perfect attire for all Halloween enthusiasts. You'll love our in-house designed and printed shirts. And in the collection, we have designs featuring Haunted Mansion elements, Hatbox Ghost. What?
That's a separate line. I meant to be separate. So Haunted Mansion elements,
Sorry.
Hatbox Ghost.
I was confused.
You're like Ron Burgundy.
Stop it. Haunted Mansion elements, Hatbox Ghost, Jack Skellington's Pumpkin Ale Brew, Hocus Pocus, Dr. Facilier's Voodoo Shop, Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party Vibes.
And if that wasn't enough, as a special treat for our podcast listeners like you, use the promo code Halloween to unlock an exclusive 15% discount for a limited time. So don't miss out on this not so spooky opportunity to elevate your Halloween wardrobe. Visit ctmshirts.com today and embrace the spirit of the season with style.